The first thing I want to show you is how I take Cornell notes. So if this is your paper in your notebook, first of all, you're going to have a different notebook than you do the paper that you use for your homework. So here's how I would do it for my Cornell notes. I divide my paper into 3 sections, and always the outside is where you have the 2-inch margin. So for us, what we're going to do for today is we're going to talk about probability. And we're going to be on page, I think it's 39 in our textbook. And we're going to talk today about theoretical probability. I'm sorry, experimental probability. And in experimental probability, we're going to talk about an experimental probability is the number of times an event can occur over the number of trials. And so we would write it this way on our notes. We would write P, because that's the symbol for probability of an event. E is the number of events over the number of trials. That's probability. And what you need to know about probability is that it's always going to be between 0 and 1, because you can't have a probability less than 0, and you can't have a probability greater than, I guess it could be equal to each one of these, greater than 1. Okay? Now, you're going to do some probability experiments, and the first one you're going to do is toss a coin 50 times. So it says to record your results, and I'll give you, I think I emailed you the link, or else I'm going to email you the link here to our probability experiment. And here's how you go about doing it. Oops, I gotta log in. Sorry, gang, but I'm watching the Gophers go into overtime versus the Spartans on Saturday. Okay, so the first one, if you notice, we are going to do dice, coins, cards, and so we're going to toss coins first. So I'm going to put my name here. Now you're going to not put my name, you're going to put your own name, and then I'm going to toss the coin. It's going to either come up a head or a tail. I have to do that 50 times, okay? So I'm tossing the coin, and as I do, I record the results. All right. Then I do the same thing with dice, put in my name, and then I record as I toss the dice. Now, Prof. Gullerud should have given you the dice so that you can take those home and toss your dice 50 times, and then you just record what numbers you get when you toss the dice. The next one is cards returned. Now it says to use 2 columns, so I'm going to use 2 columns. And in the first column, you record the suit, and then in the second column, you record the number. So here we go. I'm going to choose the first card, and it's the ace of, spades. Maybe I should just write ace. Now, if you put S, it'll autocomplete unless you space forward and then space backward. And it's the ace, so I'll just write 1 for the ace of spades. Okay? That's how you go about doing this. Now I'm going to return that card to the deck, and I'm going to get a heart, and it's the queen of hearts. Okay, I return the card, and I get a diamond, and it's the 4 of diamonds. So I just go through and I do that for each different thing. Now, for the cards not returned, I have to make sure I shuffle the deck. So do that. And do the same thing, suit and number. And the first one that I draw is a club, and it's the 4. Then I just turn over the next card. I don't shuffle them. I don't do anything. I just turn over the next card and just do it in order. And the next one is a diamond, and it's the king of diamonds. So anyway, you see how to do those 4 things, okay? So that's the probability that I'm going to be doing, and then I toss the dice, I shuffled the cards, I did that. Now, on tomorrow in class, we're going to do page 42 and 43, numbers 1 through 5, because those are the only ones in that are experimental probability, and that's what we're working on, is experimental probability. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to do this worksheet on real-world scenarios. And when you do this worksheet, there's a video here that you can see me doing it. Oh, that's the... This is section 1.3.A, and we're going to solve real-world problems using quantities. Yeah, I got to change that, because one is what I meant to put in there was the first problem is trying to figure out what they want. In this case, find the gross sales. Anyway, you can watch the video in dollars. That shows how to solve these problems. It might be easier to come up with a fake problem, otherwise you guys or a problem that's similar to this one that uses easier numbers. You had 2 CDs. Not that I can't drive myself crazy. Okay, so we've got probability, we've got experimental probability as a number of events divided by the number of trials. I'm going to make sure if we've got everything else that's on the notes. An outcome is a possible result of an experiment, and the event is the thing you're looking for. Now, the other thing that we should talk about is what's the difference between a fair and an unfair experiment. A fair experiment is when, like for instance in tossing a coin, you're equally likely to get a head as you are a tail. Or tossing a dice, you're equally likely to get a 1 as you are a 2 or a 3 or a 4. And then the other thing that we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to use a simulation that you see pictured on page 40. But the simulation we're going to use is actually with our with our spreadsheet that we made. We're going to be able to draw a deck of cards. We're going to be able to perform a dice experiment or any of those kinds of things, and we're going to use a simulation to do that. And all a simulation is it takes the possibilities and then it just figures out which one you're going to do. I'll give you an example of that. I'm going to just make a spreadsheet here and show you how to do it. Take this one as an example. Okay, I'm going to choose a random number. Random between 0 and 1, and if this is 0, then we're going to have a head. Otherwise, we're going to have a tail. And that's the way you go about doing it. And so here is a simulation. And if you notice, we can then count the number of heads and the number of tails. Now here's 100 trials that we just got done doing it. Oh, count if, excuse me. That is a head. And if you notice, we got 42 heads this time. But if I do the experiment again, I got 48. Do it again, I got 53. Do it again, I got 49. So you can see how you can run a simulation. We could run a simulation using decks of cards too, and you could play a game of canasta or a game of poker or something like that, just using the computer random selection thing, the simulation thing, and that'll help you with that. Okay, so I think that's all the information that you're going to need, and it appears as though the Gophers are going to lose, so I don't think I need to watch the game anymore. Got to make sure we got everything that we need to in our notes. Let's make sure that we've got it all. You see how to do Cornell notes. You know what your assignment is going to be. You know what we're working on tomorrow. And then hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to make some graphs in Google Docs. That'll be fun too. And then I think that's it. So we'll see you tomorrow.